IVM.
Welcome to another week on IVM. It's been a great week. If you aren't following us on social media, please make sure that you are. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. On Cyrus Says this week, Cyrus is joined by actor and comedian Gaurav Gera. They talk about Gaurav's journey in showbiz and the inspiration behind his Shopkeeper Behenji sketches. On Simplified, Naren and Srikat are joined by guests Avanti and Zain from the Marbles Lost and Found podcast. On Geek Fruit, Tejas and Jishnu give their take on Ant-Man and the Wasp and discuss the future of the Ant-Man verse. I'm really looking forward to that. That was a great movie. On Varta Lab, last week, founder of IVM himself, Amit Doshi. Hey, that's me. Talked to Akash and Naveen about being Amit Shah's doppelganger, my journey so far, and how he started an IVM podcast. I'm sorry if that grammar was twisted. On Keeping It Queer this week, we have the producers of Vice's latest web series, Sex Rated. And with that, let me take you on to your shows.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Marbles Lost and Found. We'll be discussing various issues in and around mental health and mental illness. And please note though that we are not a substitute for professional mental health. We're just here to have a conversation and maybe get some people to talk about it.
Yeah. And that was Zain. I'm Avanti.
Hey, yes, that was Zain. That was me.
And so on the podcast, we've talked about a bunch of things, but mainly we talk about being people who are dealing with mental illnesses or dealing with impacts on their mental health.
Right.
But we don't actually talk about the people who help take care of these people, help take care of us.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We'll be talking about caregiving, where, there's someone who actually has to look after someone who's dealing with something or the other with regards to mental health. And to help us with that today, we have a very special guest, a friend of ours, Dilsher. He's on call with us. Hello, Dilsher.
Hi guys, thanks for having
Dilsher.
me.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you two?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So, Dilsher, just to kind of recap, some of the things that we discussed, you're sort of like a caregiver for your father, right?
Okay, well, I don't really characterize myself as a caregiver. It's just so he suffered from a heart attack and multiple strokes.
Okay.
So I consider myself a caregiver just for those 4 to 5 months after he gets out of the hospital.
Right.
Each time, help him find his wings, help him get back, readjust and reorient himself to life.
Mm-hmm.
And then I slowly let him, regain his own sense of independence and do what he needs to do.
Right.
That sounds like a caregiver to me.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a caregiver. But actually, let's backtrack. So what exactly, happened the first time? What happened? How long ago was his first heart attack?
Okay, so he had a heart attack in September 2015. He's 64 years old. Mm-hmm. He's been a smoker his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So he was actually on the golf course when he collapsed. Mm-hmm. And he didn't end up going to the hospital because he thought it was acidity. So 4 days later, he got a stroke.
Oh, God. Okay.
So that was a bit of an ordeal. But I don't know, after 7 days, we were out of the hospital. And the stroke kind of affected his comprehension and his ability to understand us.
Okay.
So he slowly regained his speech. He slowly regained his ability to understand.
You mean through rehab in the hospital?
No. Just talking, slowly reorienting himself to life. Just talking to us, and it just takes a while for the brain to orient itself to its new surroundings post-stroke.
Mm-hmm.
And we just had to talk to him every day. Our doctor gave us, examples or games to play with him, like word association. And just very basic stuff like, what's the opposite of this? Think of 5 things in this room that begin with C. Just to help him slowly, get his brain back to work.
Right.
And, just and help him kind of regain his confidence.
Okay.
Because I think the most important part was that he kind of lost confidence because he couldn't understand, he couldn't speak. And this is something that he kind of, I guess we all take for granted, being able to speak and understand other people. So yeah, we just kind of helped him with his communication skills. So it wasn't so bad then because we thought we were in the clear. We didn't think it would happen again.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first 3 months after, this is September 2015. My brother actually left in January 2016 for Bombay, so it was just me by myself.
Right.
Fast forward to about 4 months later, at the end of April 2016, he had an epileptic seizure and another stroke.
Okay.
And this one affected him a lot more after he left the hospital. He suffered post-stroke depression.
Okay.
Because before this, he thought it wouldn't happen again. We all thought it wouldn't happen again. We all thought he was he was recovering really well. He was talking. He'd regained his confidence.
Mm-hmm.
This one kind of shook him to his core. He did not think that it was going to get better. And the doctor kind of told us, it can keep happening again and again. All you can really do is take your blood thinners, make sure you take your medicines, and the doctor literally said, just hope for the best, and
Okay.
So, and just not stress too much about anything, which kind of defeats purpose. You have to stress when it's something like this. But
How was he like when it happened the second time? I remember you telling me something along the lines of he didn't even want to have medical treatment the second time around.
He did not. He refused to go to the hospital. The hospital was a place of huge. There was a lot of trauma associated with the hospital because the first time he had his heart attack and stroke, he was in the emergency room for about 4 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 days in the emergency room? Gosh.
Yeah.
And so what was it like after he finally was he finally left the hospital? What was it like after that in the recovery period?
Okay, so the second time. So he was just very depressed. He didn't talk that much. He kind of shut himself off from his friends, his girlfriend. He stopped going. He just basic parts of his daily routine, like his walk. He just stopped going on his walk. And so we had to so I had to take care of his daily, stuff like paying the bills, paying the phone bills, going to the bank, stuff like that I had to do for him while he was recovering. So he was essentially just doing nothing, which also affected him because he's always used to being functional. And I had to make sure, he took his medicines. I had to make sure that he was eating properly. There's certain foods he had to avoid.
And that's got to affect his ego a little bit as well, right?
Yeah.
That he's a 65-year-old man 64-year-old man, who's being taken care of by his son.
What to do. And personally, it's hard to see your parents when they're just going against what the doctors told them to do. He just refused to eat certain foods that he was supposed to. He just thought, why do I need to take medicines? He actually said this, I'm going to die anyway. And he just didn't like the fact that I was instructing him to do stuff all the time. Right. And it kind of upset me as well because you only want what's best for your parent. Yeah, and they're acting like their own worst enemy. He'd given up hope. Yeah. He just thought it would keep happening again. And so that's, So
he probably resented, having to take help from you because he knew he was being weak, quote unquote, around you.
Exactly.
He didn't want you to see him being weak. You didn't want to see him being weak.
I didn't want to see him being weak
and he could probably sense that. And then the way he dealt with that was, I'm going to get resentful and defensive.
And just, sometimes I wasn't always the most attentive and patient. And, sometimes I would just get angry. So I'm like, just take your medicines or just do that or do this. And he wouldn't take it well. He just said, stop trying to tell me what to do. He essentially felt like a burden on me.
Yeah. Right.
I had to those 4 months after he came out of the hospital the second time, I had to, curtail my going out a bit just to make sure he was fine. I only left the house after he was asleep at night. Right. I'd given emergency numbers to all the about the emergency numbers of his financial advisor and his girlfriend to the maid in case I didn't pick up the phone.
Right.
So he essentially felt like he was being just
watched
all the time and taken care of and smothered a bit. And that was not my intention, but it was just. We were all on high alert, what if it happens again? Because the second time he had a stroke, I was just, by a stroke of luck, I managed to leave work early and see him because he wasn't able to understand me, and he wasn't able to form words. So I knew it was a stroke right away, and I had to rush him to the hospital.
Right.
And so and that really affected our relationship because this has always been my father. He's always, taken care of me, and I was 24, 25, 24 at the time.
You pushed into this parent figure role.
Yeah. I was and to be honest, I was very resentful of being in this role. It was, it's easy to lapse into that kind of thinking, he didn't take care of his health all these years, he smoked, he didn't do this, and now I'm having to change my life just to accommodate him, and I just constantly compared myself to other friends so my dad was 40 or 41 when we were born, and that's not usually the case. So my friends, their parents are in their 50s now, so they're still very healthy. They're still essentially they're still kind of being taken care of by their parents,
right?
Yeah. In fact, it's not something that I had. So it's just me, my brother, and my father.
Sure.
So it was just, and I was also resentful of my brother for being away in Bombay. Yeah. He said and honestly, I could take care of it. I could handle everything. But I
you felt like you were
the only one having to do it.
You felt like you were on your own a bit on this one.
Exactly.
In fact, Dilsher, actually, I want to get more into that, in fact, but we're just going to go for a quick break and we'll talk a little bit more about how you felt in that situation. We will be right back after this.
Every week comes a show where three people come together to tell you about stuff they like. A movie, a TV show, a book, and other stuff. Tune in every Monday on the IVM Podcast app to IVM Likes. Batman approves this message. Thank you, Batman.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here with Dilsher again. Thank you, Dilsher, for being with us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so just want to pick up where we left off before the break, where you were talking a little bit about yourself and how you were feeling and how you were resentful. I want to kind of get into a little bit of how you took care of yourself in those situations and how you dealt with, the heavy emotions that came with looking after your dad.
So anyone who knows me knows that I'm kind of a stickler for my routine.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up, I sleep at a decent time. I make sure I get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. I make sure all 3 of my meals are really well balanced. I work out. I try and work out at like 4-5 times a week.
Damn.
So that's
great.
kind of how I guess I became became a slave to my routine a lot more. I guess when you have responsibilities or something like this just weighing at the back of your mind a lot, it makes you less adventurous or a lot more averse to taking risks.
Yeah.
You can't be as spontaneous. You can't just, hey, I'm going to go to Goa for the weekend, or hey, I'm just going to go to my friend's place up in the hills.
Yeah.
So it makes you a lot less adventurous, which is fine. I felt myself becoming more, I don't know.
Grown up?
I don't know how to say this. Yeah, grown up. Yeah, I just, when you're responsible for someone and you're accountable to them. So yeah, and I kind of also, and I kind of got used to being like that. So I kind of used my responsibilities to my father as kind of excuse for like bailing on plans.
Right.
Essentially, because it was just, I just didn't feel like that kind of freedom. Like I can just do this, even though I guess I could. His girlfriend lived close by. I could have done it if I wanted to, but I just didn't really feel comfortable doing it. So I became a lot more, ended up spending a lot more time at home. So during the weekends, during the day, I was only at home.
Right.
And at night, I would go out. And I just started going out a lot at night after he was asleep.
Yeah.
Just to try and just get my, I don't know.
Your social fix.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know, just to take my mind off it.
I gotta say, man, I really, really relate to what you're saying about this routine thing. I mean, not in the same context where, I'm not a caregiver, but the thing is that what really resonated with me about what you said was, you have this responsibility that is just like begging you at the back of your mind. So your life just kind of like, I think sort of revolves around that in some way. And that's how I've sort of felt, I think, for the first couple of years of being a freelancer, where, I've just been spending so much time trying to suss out, how I'm supposed to be doing certain things, if I'm doing enough in order to get more work and this, that, and the other. So in a similar fashion, my feeling adventurous or like going out or spontaneity just took a backseat. And how, like, it's always been about,
you want that discipline in your life, or it's kind of like your stability in a way, like your routine.
It sort of justifies, it's a way of telling yourself, like, okay, fine, I've sort of got things under control, I think.
I know, it also really grounds you.
Yeah. In some ways it's good, some ways it's really not good at all.
Exactly. In some ways it's really not good.
Yeah, you just find yourself in a
lull.
Once
those habits like really set in.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of habits? What are you talking about?
I don't know. Okay, so just honestly, I'm in a relationship and I'm a total Nazi when it comes to sleep.
Okay.
Sorry, I said Nazi on your show, but I'm just like, when I'm on a work night, I have to be in bed by a certain time, like 12:30 is like the latest, because I wake up at 8. So I need to be in bed at this time. I
get that.
Yeah,
I get that completely.
Okay, and I can't stay out too late because I have to do this, and I have to work out. So I'm sorry, I can't, I'm leaving work, but I have to go work out first, and then I have to come meet you. It's really hard to integrate someone into your life when that routine is so set.
Man, I'm laughing over here because this is literally my life the last 2 years. I was like, oh my God, somebody has articulated exactly how I feel all the time. It's only over the last couple of months that I've learned to just kind of like let go of certain things.
Yeah.
But dude, this is so on point with me. Like, I always look for an excuse to bail on a plan. I'll always be like the first person to leave and just be like, I've got to go home and sleep. I've got to be up. I've got to do this. I may not necessarily have to do anything as such, but I'm sort of justifying to myself that I am responsible.
But it's just your way of taking care of yourself, right? And if you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of all your other shit?
But sometimes, it is. But it's a double-edged sword sometimes.
A part of me feels selfish when I stick to my routine so much. But in a way, it's kind of my comfort zone. It helps me like tackle other problems head on. When I have that, like that base and like I have this discipline in my life, I guess it just keeps me sharp.
Yeah.
Just like mentally stable to like deal with certain things.
Sure.
Do you know any other caregivers? Do you know anyone else who...
So I honestly,
not necessarily
I haven't interacted with any other caregivers my age, to be honest. I don't know anyone who has the same problem as me. Well, I mean, I'm sure people are going through the same thing, but they have like siblings or maybe like a parent or a relative who has shares the responsibility. When I'm with my father and those couple of months after he's out of the hospital, it's just me. So I don't really, and I don't know anyone who's solely, so because I live with my father, I feel solely responsible for his happiness.
Right.
He doesn't leave home that much, and he only really talks to his girlfriend on the phone. So he waits every day for me to come back from work, and he wants to talk to me, and he wants to engage with me, and he wants to hear everything. But it's hard, like I've had a long day, I don't really feel like talking, and he doesn't really understand me that well. But I need to like put up a face and say, put up a brave face and say, yes, this is what I did, and just try and talk. Yeah. And even if he does, and it's kind of heartbreaking, even though he doesn't really understand what I do or what's going through my head, he just feels good that I'm there and talking to him. Yeah. It's very important for me to have meals with him. make sure I at least have dinner with him every night.
Yeah. I guess in the grander scheme of things, that is the silver lining. I mean, I can only imagine that it's tough, but at least, I think as people, just having sometimes that physical presence of just being there, maybe not necessarily saying anything, that just that can really, at least lift people. But, I think that's unfortunately all we have time for so far. But thankfully we did end at least on a slightly good note.
Well,
slightly.
I feel heavy.
Yeah, I mean heavy. But at least we talked about, some of the positivity, like towards the end about, what it's like when you're with your dad and how he feels, when you're giving him that attention. So thank you so much, Dilsher, for doing this with us. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Dilsher.
This is great. Thank you. It was nice to talk to some of these issues.
Great. Yes. Yeah. It's always good. It's always cathartic. Yes. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Please remember, if you even have questions or concerns or stories that you want us to maybe discuss or talk about, please write to us at writetomarbles@gmail.com. The 2 is TO, so that's writetomarbles@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you, and thank you so much for tuning in. I've been Zain.
Avanti.
And Dilsher, thank you again.
Thank you.
Signing off.
Bye.
Hey, what's good, you guys? It's your boy Ranveer Alabadia from the YouTube channel Beer Biceps, and the Beer Biceps team is bringing you Hustle Science. Hustle Science is basically a show where we interview hustlers. We ask them about what made them legendary. We ask them about their success secrets. We go to the core of their legendary status in life. It's going to be hosted by my boy Tejaswin Gumber and yours truly, Ranveer Alabadia. Make sure you catch Hustle Science on the IVM podcasting app and website, or any kind of podcasting platform that you use to get your podcasts. Make sure you check it out. The episodes are going to be out every single Tuesday.
Shunyawan, 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 Shunyawan. $1 billion acquisition. Another copycat startup got formed.
No, the tech world in India is surely moving double the speed of this voiceover.
Tune in to Shunya One every Tuesday to catch us talking to the smartest people we know on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.